Welcome to Jurassic World. Here is me praying that this video also does not get demonetized. At this point, I don't even care again. Anyhow, we start with this demonic entity hatching into our world, and if these digits went a sign that whatever was in this egg is not normal, those eyes, bro, like, please, there is nothing but bloodlust in those eyes. Definitely not foreshadowing, by the way. So we cut to this family that are going to send their two sons on a road trip to visit their auntie who works in this place called Jurassic Park. And if you have watched my other video covering this same park, then you have probably guessed that this will be a memorable holiday for the both of them. But I can't lie though, cuddling with your babe in front of your parents while you still live with them as a minor is crazy. Can't even lie. My father still thinks I don't talk to girls. I mean, I don't, but still though, like, can't just stop thinking about how different this scene would look had it been staged in my house. Anyhow, they send their children off to to have fun, and then they arrive to Jurassic Park, which shouldn't exist, but still does. And yes, very same timeline as the first movie. Everything that happened before actually happened, and these people know that it happened, but they still rebuilt the place. Anyhow, they go and they are supposed to meet the auntie. But instead they meet this her assistant. She's basically a British fine shit. So yeah, they barely see their aunt because she couldn't give a shit about them. And yeah, so we got to the auntie in question, who is doing her job by explaining to these potential investors that the park has been running for a couple of years now. We learned that, since dinosaurs are not extinct anymore, people don't really care much about them, which is bad for profit. So every couple of years they discover and make new dinosaurs to keep the public interested and to maintain profits. This year they have invented that demon spawn from earlier, and they're calling it the Indominus Rex. But I like to call it the fuck around find out Osaurus, as we shall soon see. Yeah, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to be calling it Indomie. You get Indominus Indomie. Oh, okay. So we got back to the boys, and I think their names are Zach and something. We'll just call them the boys anyhow. The boys meet their auntie, who obviously couldn't care less about them, as she returns to work almost immediately. And we meet the madman in charge of this entire operation. His name I'm not even going to bother with because he'll be dead soon. But anyhow, him and what's her name? Claire. Yes, her name is Claire. So him and Auntie Claire go to see Indomie in her prison. And Indomie is just, being a fucking demon spawn, walking around, looking at them, obviously plotting something. I love how Claire just casually drops the fact that she ate her other sibling. Remember those eggs from earlier? Yeah, there were two. Indomie ate the other one. If that was not your call to unlife her, then I really do not know what was. I mean, tell me why the fuck this thing is still alive. So anyhow, Mr. Rich Guy wants to make sure that the enclosure is safe and that Indomie cannot escape. So he tells Auntie Claire to go and work with Owen on this. Owen is the guy that will come and inspect the fence to make sure that Indomie does not get out. So she goes to pick up Owen, and he's basically the guy in charge of the raptors at Jurassic Park, who he also seems to have bonded with. He is also the only person in this park with an active brain cell. He's trying to talk to this brain dead nigga about, that it's a bad idea to use unpredictable apex predators as weapons of war because they're unpredictable. They can just wake up and decide to eat you. However, guy could not even care less, even after they literally go from obeying Owen 1 second to almost eating him the next. So Auntie Claire comes to pick up Owen, and they go to see Indomie. And they keep looking around the cage, but they can't see Indomie. Neither can they trace her heat signature. So instead of just waiting for them to track her from the control room, they decide to open the door and go and check themselves. Tell me why. So while I don't claim to be an expert, in the management and upkeep of apex predators from Beelzebub's backyard, I want to believe, that a monster that's about 40 feet tall and maybe weighs as much as a 747. I want to believe that something of that approximate height and mass, cannot just escape quietly. Maybe somebody would have heard something. Did not occur to you to first ask around, hey bro, did you see a 40-foot tall lizard leave its cage? Instead of jumping into the containment like a bunch of fools. Anyhow, it turns out she is in fact still in her cage. So this guy, in an effort to escape, decides to open the main gate. But I don't know about you, but if I was one of those guys in the control room, I would have locked them in there with the lizard. Now that might sound wicked, but to be honest, anybody that is stupid enough to enter into a cage with Satan's pet alligator, I think they deserve to die. Anyhow, Owen manages to escape with his life, and so does Indomie, who proceeds to eat everybody. However, Owen uses sense and covers his scent with fuel, so she can't smell him and she walks away. But now she's kind of free, on an island with about 20,000 visitors. Yeah, we're cooked. All right, let's start her death counter now. All right, we're at 2 already. So they send out a squad of people to, contain Indomie and return her to her prison. However, as like I told you before, Indomie is not your normal dinosaur. They have given her a bunch of OP traits. The first of which is intelligence, as this animal actually remembered where they had put a tracker in her body, removed it, and set it as a trap for these people. And then she literally changed colors. You gave her a potion of invisibility. I can't even speak the English. Please. Why can your dinosaur disappear? Why is this even a feature? Why? It is literally a zoo. For the people pay to see dinosaurs. Why is this one disappearing? Have you thought of the practicality before you just decide to give this thing creative mode? Needless to say, things did not go well on that mission. We're up to 20 now. So they finally decide to, start closing off the pack. And then Rich Guy asks, the guy that the guy that invented Indomie about her abilities. So in a nutshell, she's strong, smart, fast, can adjust her body temperature, can change color, and she's huge and non-carnivore and non-herbivorous. So basically, she has admin rights. Anyhow, we call back to the boys who, see this message to return to the park and decide to completely ignore it and abandon the safety of their enclosure. So now Auntie Claire is looking for them and she gets help from Owen to do so. So the boys in their foolishness have left, where they're supposed to be and, have bumped into Indomie, who proceeds to kick them like Roberto Carlos before smoking one of these other dinosaurs. And then she proceeds to almost eat them. However, thanks to movie logic, they manage to escape as Claire and Owen see this huge dinosaur the size of at least 5 elephants that, guess what, Indomie also smoked. However, it turns out that she didn't just smoke this one, she smoked the whole damn dirty herd. This thing is the size of an aeroplane. Indomie by herself smoked 5 of them. We're cooked. We're cooked. We're not doing shit, guys. At this point, you can just declare those boys dead and abandon the island. There's no hope. There's no point again. Yeah, however, this basically goes to prove the point that Beelzebub's pet alligator is just killing for no reason. Like, at this point, she's not even doing it for food. She just loves the smoke. She's doing it for the love of the game. So Auntie Claire and Owen track down the boys as far as the waterfall, and they continue looking for them. But before they do that, this stupid woman decides that this is the best, the best way to find her nephews when they're running away from Satan's. I don't even know what to call this again. Indomie. She decides to scream. Why are you screaming? Why did you think this was a good? At this point, I was actually expecting that thing to jump out of the trees and attack them. Well, yeah, we got back to the boys who find the old Jurassic Park and, use one of the trucks to escape. And then we cut back to Rich Guy who, tries to go and kill Indomie by himself to correct his mistake and be the hero. However, she frees all the flying dinosaurs who destroy the helicopter that he's in and, now he's gone. Yeah. So, however, the flying dinosaurs continue traveling toward the main part of the island where they begin terrorizing innocent guests and Fine Shit dies. Can't lie, what a waste of a, good-looking character, but hey, shit happens, innit? So in the middle of this, Owen also almost dies. However, Claire saves him. And now I'm going to, just attribute all the casualties of this incident as part of Indomie's kill count, because she kind of caused it. So yeah, that's at least 128. Yeah. So then, as if, there aren't enough loose dinosaurs on this island already, these niggas decide to add raptors to the... Why? As if we don't have enough of Beelzebub's pets on the loose, you want to add raptors to the mix. These things that can run at 50 miles an hour on an island full of people. Like, are you people even thinking? Anyhow, they go ahead with this. They try to warn him against it. However, he just goes ahead with it. So they head out and track down Indomie, who I forgot to mention is also part raptor. So she can speak the language rather fluently and manages to convince them to turn against the humans, which they do. And everybody runs away. More people die. And, Claire and the boys manage to escape narrowly. The mad scientist guy that invented Indomie escapes, and this guy also dies. Then they all get cornered by the raptors and Indomie. However, Owen is able to reconvince the raptors to re-switch sides, which they do, just to immediately get slapped by Indomie. Immediately had her laid out like a carpet. Fight never even start. Had her looking like this guy. Anyhow, the Raptors get to boxing, but let's be honest, they were never really doing shit to begin with. So Claire goes to fetch the T-Rex, which, spoiler alert, Indomie also smokes. Yeah, we are actually just cooked. So before Indomie can kill the T-Rex, this raptor calls Blue pulls up. Yeah, she was the one that got bit slapped from earlier. Anyhow, she's up now, and she and the T-Rex get to boxing. We're talking Jujutsu Kaisen level of jumping, man. However, Indomie ain't going down that easy. Gets back up and ready to start the smoke again, just to get put down by whatever the fuck this thing is, Osaurus. I can't lie, this dinosaur be reminding me of all those guys in online games, especially during the boss fight. Guy will not do shit the entire battle. In fact, he's probably the lowest ranked. He probably just started playing the game yesterday. Just for those just pull up at the end and get the final hits, all the XP goes to him. But hey, this thing killed like 200 people. I ain't complaining. So yeah, the T-Rex and Blue part on mutual terms, and that's basically where the movie ends.